Can Shakur Stevenson be the one to finally crack the code of Gervonta Davis? Gervonta is just honestly running through everybody. Every test that promoters and the world of boxing continues to throw at Tank, he continues to pass the test with flying colors, getting guys out of there, getting those impressive stoppage wins where you just leave yourself so dumbfounded how he gets it done, because he's able to give those rounds away. Even, you know, in his most recent fight against Frank Martin, we all said he's not going to be able to give those early rounds away, and he did give some rounds away, but he came out in a way that, you know, he knew that he had to. And what I mean by that is he came out with that high guard and high pressure against Frank Martin, because he knew that Frank Martin would be very mobile, which he was, but he found a way to slow down that pace. He was able to cut the ring off and do it so effectively. I'm curious to see how Shakur Stevenson does, you know, with a guy like Tank. And if we're talking about prime fighters and matchups, Shakur is a very difficult fight for Tank just because of the defense. I always say that if Shakur can last the 12 rounds, then he should be able to beat Tank in a decision. But there's also that aspect of Tank can win in two different ways against Shakur. I think that Tank could stop Shakur, which is the obvious option, but I also think that Tank could potentially outbox Shakur Stevenson. Let's say it does go to a decision, but Shakur goes down, you know, we get a knockdown. These are all, you know, obviously hypotheticals, and I don't want to speak anything like I know it for a fact, because that's why we want big fights, right? That's why we still want to see Shakur Stevenson and Tank go at it, because no one actually knows what's going to happen until they get in there and fight. And I think that that's one of the best fights for Tank, one of the two best fights. It's either Shakur Stevenson or it's Vasily Lomachenko. Those are the two guys that real boxing fans understand. You know, maybe these two can solve the puzzle. Maybe they see something that nobody else sees. They possess skills that no other fighter at 35 possesses, or, you know, that could be very much true, but we have to see it in the ring. For Vasily Lomachenko, I've been saying that Vasily Lomachenko is willing to do what a lot of fighters aren't, and what I mean by that is he's going to rough you up if he has to. You know, a lot of guys give Tank respect. They try to just, you know, keep their distance and stay away. Lomachenko's going to turn Tank. He's going to use that footwork, use the angles, and don't get me wrong, you know, if Lomachenko has to make a fight rugged and physical, he's going to do it. You know, he's going to try to use all the tactics. He might try to headbutt you, create a clash of heads and cause a cut on Tank. You know, that stuff is very likely to happen from a guy like Vasily Lomachenko. It's not very likely to come with a guy like Shakur Stevenson. Shakur is very good in terms of the measurement, keeping that distance, but Lomachenko is a different fighter. And don't get me wrong, Lomachenko's style, the way that I expect him to fight Tank, probably gets him knocked out. You know, but look at a guy like Frank Martin. There was a moment where he did engage, but, you know, it fell flat. It was few and far in between when Frank Martin was confident in his exchanges against a guy like Tank Davis, and ultimately he got hunted down and he didn't have an answer for it. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm the guy to critique, you know, what Frank Martin should have done this, should have done that, but I do think at some moment in that fight he should have, you know, really tried to get the better of Tank in an exchange, because I think he had enough pop to, you know, keep him honest, but it was just too few and far in between. If he had gotten the respect of Tank early and then, you know, turned up to another gear and started to really put those punches together and throw them hard with bad intentions, I think that it could have been a different fight. But he got knocked out. You know, he got knocked out doing what he wanted, you know, he trying to survive. He got knocked out, so why not, you know, go out on your shield? I guess it could have been a more brutal knockout if he had tried to exchange with Tank, but I think in terms of what Vasily Lomachenko knows how to do, and it comes with experience, is to sell out, to do whatever it takes to win a fight. And, you know, Shakur has that as well. He has that FU mentality like Lomachenko does, but it's a different kind, because for Vasily Lomachenko, it's more so, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. If it has to be a dirty fight, I'm going to make it a dirty fight. And Shakur has that mentality where it's, I don't care about the fans. I'm not here for them. I'm here to win the fight. And I think that's the mentality that Shakur needs. He's going to have to, you know, say forget about the fans like he's been saying, because they're not going to come for him. You know, the fans that show up for Shakur and Tank aren't going to come to root for Shakur. They're going to root for Tank to knock out Shakur, or to see Tank lose, but more so to see Tank knock out Shakur. So for Shakur to be like, forget the fans, that's the mentality he should want. He should want them to boo. You know, the great ones always get booed. Your favorite fighters in the world have gotten booed. You know, it's just something that comes with the sport. So for Shakur, that's a good mentality that he has, to think, you know, just because I'm not a knockout artist, just because I don't put on these stellar performances where, you know, I gain a lot of fans every fight, that doesn't mean I'm not winning fights. That doesn't mean I can't beat a guy like Tank Davis. Tank is exciting, but Shakur is just as talented. It's a different kind of talent. Maybe it's not so appealing to the fans' perspective, but he knows how to make it work. He knows how to win fights. That's what it is. And that's why Shakur Stevenson is such a strong candidate for being the guy that could knock off a guy like Tank Davis. When it comes to the best fighters in the world, at 35, it's only Vasily Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis, and Shakur Stevenson, and that's the level. That's the peak of 135. Everybody else is underneath. So for Tank, the cards are honestly in his hands. Bob Arum has, you know, very much welcomed that fight. You know, recently he talked about the possibility of Tank and Vasily Lomachenko going at it, and for me, I think that Vasily Lomachenko, that's a great fight for him because he's going to make a lot of money, win, lose, or draw. If he wins that fight and manages to pull off a win against a guy like Tank Davis and then retires after that, Vasily Lomachenko, he was already Hall of Fame, but that just puts him at an even higher standard. That really solidifies his career as a great, you know, but it's a big if. So for me, I think I can't help but favor Tank against Lomachenko and Shakur. They're both very competitive fights. I would say that Lomachenko and Tank is a more appealing fight when it comes to the actual outcome. I think that produces a more exciting outcome, but I think Shakur and Tank is a more competitive fight, more of a chess match. It might be even a little boring in some rounds, but that's the fight we real boxing fans need to see from a guy like Tank Davis. We can't continue to see him knocking out, you know, B level or B plus level fighters. We need to see that A plus level of opposition. That's what we've really been waiting for. We know he can knock out solid opponents, solid opposition, but let's see what if we, you know, test him a little bit harder. Let's see how he reacts. You know, we know that he could probably win these fights and pull them out. It's just, you know, Tank is just someone that you want to see in the best fights possible, because everyone keeps talking about him and Shakur, him and Devin, him and Lomachenko. Maybe Devin has lost some of that value in terms of, let's see what happens with him and Tank because of the Ryan Garcia fight. But I still think Devin and Tank is a fight that has to go down inevitably. It's just a matter of, you know, the timing, allowing Devin Haney to gain his confidence back, maybe stack up a few get back wins, a few tune-up fights. It wouldn't hurt against not so big punchers, and then ease your way back into big fights. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Devin fight like actual boxers and not power punchers, and then eventually fighting Tank, because there's a lot of risk in Devin fighting guys like Isaac Cruz, Rolly Romero. Against Sandor Martin, it's not an easy fight either, but I don't think he's gonna get knocked down or hurt by Sandor Martin. So those are, you know, a lot of big fights for Gervonta Davis. It's not like he's limited in terms of, you know, the menu when he's saying, who could I fight next? He has a lot of options. He has, you know, at 35, he has a guy like Shakur Stevenson, a guy like Lomachenko. If I had to guess, it's probably gonna go, you know, Lomachenko first for Tank, and then after that, ideally, he gets Shakur Stevenson at 35, and then after he clears that weight class, goes up to 40. That's how the plan is supposed to go, if I had to guess, because I don't see him moving back in opposition. I don't know anyone at 35 he could fight where it's, you know, the juice is worth the squeeze, and he's doing a training camp for a pay-per-view. Who are they really going to put him against if it's not Shakur Stevenson or Vasily Lomachenko? It can't be a pay-per-view fight. So, you know, as big of a star as he is, he has that at 35, and then if he wants to turn the page and look at the dessert menu and go to 140, he has a big variety of names. You could go for guys like Teofimo Lopez, Isaac Cruz, Rolly Romero again if you want, but like, obviously I don't want to see the Rolly Romero fight, but I think Isaac Cruz has it's kind of like unfinished business for Tank. You know, whether or not I want to see it, it doesn't matter, because ultimately Isaac Cruz is the only one to ever go the distance with Tank. So, I mean, it's kind of inevitable that, you know, he's going to see Isaac Cruz again, but other than that, like, he has to level up in opposition. I think it's only Shakur Stevenson. I think that's the toughest test. A guy like Teofimo Lopez, those are difficult fights for Tank, but it's hard to not favor Tank. I think we saw the best version of him, up to date, but I still don't think that's his maximum potential. I think he's gonna do, have even better performances to come. So I'm excited to see it. Is Vasily Lomachenko, the biggest threat to Gervonta Tank Davis, or is it Shakur Stevenson? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I think both of them have their tools. It's more so, Shakur is in his prime, Lomachenko's not, but Lomachenko can surprise you. The last thing to leave a fighter is their power, and Lomachenko, willing to do whatever it takes, could make it a dirty fight. Having a very competitive fight with Devin Haney, a lot of people think he won, so who's to say that he can't shock the world again and make a fight with Tank very competitive. But Shakur Stevenson is a great fight as well. I have to lean towards Tank just because of the power, for both a matchup with Loma and Shakur, but close fights regardless, great fights regardless. But let me know in the comments what you guys think about these matchups. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.
That's going to do it for another Nads Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.